All right. Okay.
You're listening to the JT the Brick Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes it off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
All right, JT with you. Hour number 2 as we are live from Raiders headquarters. Just knocked out hour number 1 on the Raiders YouTube channel. And the good news for you is you can watch that later today when they air it. We had head coach Antonio Pierce, Lincoln Kennedy, and Paul Gutierrez, who just left the studio. We really appreciate that. Vinnie Bonsignore is going to join us in a few minutes here. So here we go. Big day today. A lot went down. Coach said good things about Davante Adams. They had a good conversation. Whoa, that's interesting. And everybody's talking about that news around town. So we'll see what happens there. I have nothing new to add on that because I was assuming, like everybody else, Davante's probably gone because of all the reported rumors about him wanting a trade. Maybe that could potentially change. That's a fluid situation. I was planning on breaking news at some point this week on the future of Davante Adams, who is still rehabbing through a hamstring injury. So we know that there. So you want to speculate? That's what radio's about. You're allowed to speculate on radio. There's some things I can't speculate about, but you can. And if you want to jump in and discuss what could happen, I'll get that with Vinnie Bonsignore coming up here momentarily. So stick around for that. We'll get that. Secondly, Christian Wilkins, after we left the air yesterday, we found out that he'll be out indefinitely. A devastating blow, No Christian Wilkins and no Malcolm Kuntz. Divine Diablo hasn't been available. We'll see what happens this week. I can't believe it. Christian Wilkins, you know how excited I was. I interviewed him on Media Day. We had a really good conversation, and I just thought he was the one player Tom Telesco brought in that was under Tom Telesco, who was a superstar, still is. And I can't believe he has a foot injury now, surgery. And I'm not going to speculate on when he's going to come back or not. Neither should you, but you know he's not going to be here for a while. So you take 2 of those players away, and Marcus Epps is gone for the year, the starting safety, one of the 2. And the team's decimated, absolutely decimated with injuries. We'll get back to that. We bring in the great Vinnie Bonsignore from our morning show, The Morning Tailgate, Vegas Nation. He covers the team as good as anybody. And Vinnie, very interesting day today. I want to start off with the relationship between the head coach and Davante Adams. What's changed earlier today heading into that press conference?
Yeah, some interesting comments, to say the least, from Antonio Pierce about the possibility of Davante Adams actually playing again for the Raiders when he gets healthy. Something that you didn't necessarily anticipate, but I think it also speaks to the market that might be out there for Davante Adams right now. And, the Raiders are certainly not going to just give him away, and they want their value for Davante Adams, as they should. He is an asset, whether it's on the team or as a somebody that can bring them other assets to help them along in their, not necessarily going to say rebuild, but as they progress as a team. So he's not somebody that they want to just give away. So if that market doesn't ever come to fruition and Davante Adams is healthy, then, the Raiders want him out there playing. So we'll see where that all that all is headed. But by the sounds of it, obviously Antonio Pierce left open the door for Davante Adams to return at some point.
Vinny, could that change with Davante wanting to be here because Aiden O'Connell was named the starter today?
Well, I mean, theoretically it could, but if you're Davante Adams, then you have a decision to make. If there is no trade market that represents fair value for the Raiders, and they say, look, we tried to trade you, but there hasn't been fair value. So now you're healthy and it's time to come out here and play. I would imagine that Davante Adams would handle that professionally. And also he's got a lot of money at stake if he doesn't play. So I would, we're not there yet, obviously, but if you're looking into the future and that future includes a market that didn't bear, appreciable assets coming back to the Raiders, then it's his obligation to now play if he's healthy or risk losing salary. And, it'd be hard for me to believe that Davante Adams would, put his feet in the ground to that extent where he's going to cost himself millions upon millions of dollars.
Vinnie Bonsignore is our guest. So that's interesting news. Just so sad for the Raider fans to not have Christian Wilkins going forward. Take me back to your reporting on the injury when you heard about it. Obviously, he didn't play on the back end of the Denver game. Once he left and where he stands now, I don't want to say he'll never be back here this year. The Raiders will tell us as he rehabs this, but just a big blow for a team that couldn't afford to lose another superstar.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, based on my reporting, it seems likely that this is going to be a season ender. We'll see. I'm not a doctor, and nobody, necessarily is. You don't know how everybody reacts to whatever the surgery was and the rehab and all that. So there is a small door that's still open, but it seems like this is going to be a long one. And so that's a devastating blow any way you look at it. First Malcolm Kuntz, who was a huge part of this Raiders defense, then Marcus Epps, who was also a huge part of this defense. And now, you don't have Divine Diablo for a couple of weeks. And now all of a sudden you lose your high-priced stud defensive tackle alongside Max Crosby. And any way you slice it, that's not good. So he's going to be out for a while at the very least. And the Raiders are going to have to somehow, some way make do.
All right, Vinny, let's get into the game and your opinion on what could happen here. This, from talking to Antonio Pierce today, and you were there at the press conference, this is a lunch pail game, a violent game, a physical game. And I think it's a pivot moment for this team for this year. I'm not saying they're going to win and go on and win 11 or 12 games, but if they don't win this game, considering how they lost in Denver, it's going to be dicey if they don't play physically tough, tackle better. So what were the expectations that the coach told you at the press conference, which should make the fans believe that the Raiders are going to change and have a spirited effort?
Yeah, and number one, and I feel the same exact way, watching this team play. I don't think that it's been any sort of lack of effort. The Raiders play hard. Do they respond well to certain things that happen in the course of the game, whether it was the Carolina Panthers putting a long drive together to start that game? No. Whether it was the interception return by Patrick Surtain and the response of the Raiders? No. But I don't put that on effort. I think this is an extremely young team that's still trying to kind of figure it out and maybe, isn't ready yet to be able to handle those types of moments. And you grow into that. The hope, obviously, around the Raiders facility is that they continue to grow and mature so that they can handle almost the inevitable things that happen in the football game. So it's not about effort, that I don't believe at all. Now, having said that, what they have to do is play clean football. You can't have the amount of turnovers that the Raiders had while not forcing any on your end, and you certainly can't have the amount of penalties that the Raiders had. Those are just non-negotiables for this team this year. This level of talent on this Raiders club means, I'm not saying you have to play perfect football, but you can't keep shooting yourself in the foot like that. And I think that's what's been the big culprit here, are whether it's the penalties, and that's been under control for most of the year outside of Sunday in Denver, or losing the turnover battle. You look at Gardner Minshew and 5 interceptions to 4 touchdowns. That's not a good ratio. You can't have that. They're hoping for better from Aiden O'Connell. Maximize the trips to the red zone. Don't keep shooting yourselves in the foot. No mental errors. Those types of things have been the difference, really, between the Raiders winning and losing. And so I think that's what he wants to see, is growth in that regard. Are you going to do the right thing at the right time? Are you going to make plays when they need to be made? Are you going to avoid the silly mistakes or the back-breaking turnovers that they've endured throughout a lot of this season? So, from Antonio's perspective, and I agree with this, that's what he needs to see. And for the Raiders to win games, they have to check off a certain amount of boxes, and they're not good enough to deviate from that or leave multiple boxes unchecked.
Wrapping it up with Vinnie Bonsignore, you nailed it there. They're -7 in turnover differential with 9, tied for last in the league with the Tennessee Titans. And that's what's jumping out at me. Look, if Trayvon Merrick makes an interception because the ball just came to him on a deflection from Amari Cooper, okay, it still counts. It's an interception. It's a physical play. I like it. But I haven't seen anything this year from Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones in regards to the aggressive playing behind the line of scrimmage. And we know what happened with Jack. He sat out a quarter, and Nate's a very good player. He's good tackling when he's playing well, but someone needs to make a play. I mean, someone has to look at 3rd and 7 and say, I did my film study. I know where they're going with the ball. I'm going to get in the hole. I'm going to strip the ball out. And we're waiting for that. And we both know, Vinny, that Patrick Graham preaches this in practice.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I've always been taught, history has always shown, that turnovers come in bunches. Mm-hmm. So the Raiders are hoping for that bunch to finally come here, obviously. But by the same token, and, they do try to do the poking the ball out and all that, but you can't also, in the process of doing that, have poor tackling habits as well. That has been a huge issue with the tackling level of the Raiders, and they don't rank very well in that regard when it comes to tackling, according to Pro Football Focus and some of the other metrics out there. So while they do need to focus on trying to, create some turnovers, they can't let it come at the expense of fundamentals and having, runners, ball carriers, be able to run through some of the tackles, because that is your first priority. Along the way, you try to poke it out, but you can't prioritize one at the expense of the other. And I feel like that may have happened a couple of times this year. But I'm with you. Guys like Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones are playmakers, and they have the capability of playmakers. And the Raiders sure need their 2 cornerbacks to add something in that regard, because you're not going to be able to survive with that type of turnover ratio.
Vinny, lastly, with your deep roots with the New York Mets, but living in LA a lot of years with the Dodgers there, this is getting interesting because the Padres and what we're seeing down there at Petco Park is special. I've been there many times. It's just different this time around. And the Mets could just come through. I don't want to say by default, but the way they're playing these games and matchups, they're heroes in the late innings. The Yankees can't hit at all in the Bronx, and the Mets are hitting on the road. So my Met buddies are telling me, man, don't you Yankees wish you had the bats that the Mets have? This is wild.
Yeah, it's been a great ride for the Mets. Kind of came out of the blue a little bit, because if you remember, they started off really, really poorly this year. But they got it together, and I give a lot of credit to Carlos Mendoza, their manager, who, by the way, came from the Yankees. So thank you for that. But also Francisco Lindor. Francisco, I know he's not going to win the MVP. That's going to be Shohei Ohtani, and rightfully so. But you'd be hard-pressed to find a player that is more valuable to his team in every regard: defense, offense, leadership. He is beloved in that clubhouse and has led the way. And I give Carlos Mendoza a lot of credit for allowing Francisco Lindor to be that leader. And one thing I will say about the MVP vote, and I know that Shohei is going to win this, and probably rightfully so, but Francisco Lindor does it on defense and on offense. And through no fault of Shohei's, of his at all, he hasn't done anything but DH this year. And I know that there will come a time when he's going to be out there pitching, and I can't wait to see that. But if you're looking at a guy that's making contributions both offensively and defensively, Francisco Lindor takes runs away as well. So nobody should be ashamed or angry if he were to actually win the MVP. But it's shaping up great. I know they got one more, and the Phillies are a proud team, and they've broken our hearts many, many times. So I'm not ruling out anything at this point in that series.
And
I'll say this about the Padres.
Yep.
They're playing with a lot of confidence against the Dodgers, and that's something that you have to have against a great team like that. And they just they feel like they could beat them, and that's probably 80% of the whole thing.
Lastly, LeBron playing with Bronny, I know it was only preseason, was great. I can't imagine what it's going to look like when it matters. And Bronny comes off the bench, and his dad meets him at half court in the second or third quarter of a game. This is going to be one of the more emotional moments in NBA history.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering when that might be. I do think that Ronnie has an NBA future, but I do wonder if maybe he needs to go down to the G League. And there's been plenty of examples in the NBA of young players who have gone down to the G League and fine tune their game and use that as a platform to help build their NBA resume and future. So I don't know that he's going to start the season with the Lakers, but it would make for a great story. And at some point, it's bound to happen where he and LeBron James are out there together. And if you're a dad, like as both of us are, that's something that we hold near to our heart because who wouldn't want to have a Ken Griffey, Ken Griffey Jr. Type of a moment. Remember, they hit back-to-back home runs, and I know I got teary-eyed watching that. And I wasn't even a father at that point. So this is great for the sport, and it's great for LeBron James and his son.
All right, let's thank your proud partners because Raider Nation's coming into town from out of town, and so are a lot of Steeler fans. Where could they all meet up?
Yeah, absolutely. The Crust and Rue starting at 5 o'clock over at Town Square. Proud partners of Dos Catas Tequila. And I always going to mention this. If you're in need of some money right now and you're a little bit worried about getting your hands on $500 or $5,000, just go to lendingstore.com. Let their experts help you find a lender that can get you that $500, $5,000 in your bank account as early as tomorrow.
Thank you, Vinny. I'll see you at the Torch on Sunday.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
All right. You got it. That is Vinnie Bonsignore. As we open up the show here, as I'm live from Raiders headquarters. So we do this every Wednesday. So they let me host the show here every Wednesday, and we stream it on YouTube. So if you're following the Raiders YouTube channel, it'll come up as an alert. I think it's pretty cool what we're doing here. No radio show in America, and we're a local show here, but we have a national audience because we're on the Raiders website and YouTube and their mobile app. It's pretty cool to see the building I'm in and get a chance to see what we're doing in between coming back and talking to who we're going to talk to. So I'm inspired coming in and left a little early today because of the traffic. Now, if you went to the implosion last night, I got to get into this. I've been moved to Vegas in 96. I came here in the 80s with my buddies for bachelor parties and stupid shenanigans like everybody. But I've been living out here a long time, and I couldn't stay up till 2:30 in the morning last night for the Tropicana implosion. I just couldn't. Sometimes I get up super early, but my wife and I taped it, DVR'd it, and we watched it this morning. It was epic. Epic that they pulled it off again. Whenever these casinos come down, it means progress, that they're moving forward. Now, this is not the flagship of the A's, so I don't do any A's talk. None. I'm one of the many who don't believe the A's will be here. I don't. I don't think that they are led by proper leadership yet. And I got friends who work for the A's, so I wish them well. But I just don't think they have their act together, and especially the rendering of that building that they're going to move into, the Sydney Opera House. You have a better chance of moving the Sydney Opera House on cargo boats across the ocean and bringing it to Las Vegas than you do a building that, whatever that's going to be, especially with the sun and what it looks like. Some of these cities have beautiful backdrops of the city, like Pittsburgh. You go to a Pittsburgh game, you see the backdrop of the downtown. No one wants to see the backdrop of the MGM or the Luxor or whatever. That's not going to move the needle. And no, you're not going to point it towards the airport, right? And see, so I don't know what they're going to do here. I didn't like the location to begin with. And I was never a big Trop guy. I was always a hard rock guy, and I love Wynn and Encore and Bellagio. But a lot of people have worked over the years at the Tropicana. So it came tumbling down at 2:30 or 2:45 in the morning. I looked at a couple of the feeds here. If you went to that last night, give me a call. I'm going to mix it up a little bit today. I got about 45 minutes left. 702-365-9200 is the number. So as my day started today, I got up and I came over here and I told you my big problem in life, the Southern Highlands exit is closed. So I had to go down Star and I moved over to Raiders Way. And I came into the building here and went and saw a couple of people in the building and talked to them. And then Coach came in before he went downstairs to the media for his media session. He does us first. He comes in here and we touched on Christian Wilkins, but he told me first that they were going with Aiden O'Connell. I didn't know. We had an understanding. So when they came into the studio, they gave me the heads up. So we were able to ask that question where we wanted to ask it as a priority first. And Aiden gets the opportunity to be the starter here. Now, let me say this again to our new audience and everybody else that's there. You only get one chance to make a pop impression on starting a quarterback. Okay, mop-up duty, I'm cool with. Remember last year, I was the guy saying, put Jimmy Garoppolo in. Nothing against Minnesota. I think they would have won the game. Aiden wasn't playing well, but the organization wanted to go with Aiden. And Jimmy was healthy. And I think Jimmy would have won that game. But that was a coaching decision, and I respect it. Aiden needs to start this week because it gives the Raiders the best opportunity to win now. We've seen enough of Gardner Minshew. Now, if Aiden gets sacked and, God forbid, something comes loose on his helmet and he has to come out, I'm very confident that Gardner Minshew, we know that Gardner can come in there and make throws and make plays. But this is now the time for Aiden O'Connell to have a moment. And there's a lot of pressure on Aiden, and here's why. Let's get the elephant in the room out of here and just talk about this. Everybody that I know who's bailing on the Raiders, that is the Raider fans, because a lot of people that follow my social media are Raider fans on top of people that have been following me my career. The fans who have jumped off are all talking about the draft. I will not do that because it is October 9th. Let me repeat. It's October 9th. Most of these young quarterbacks might not be available to the Raiders. I don't know where the Raiders are going to pick. But I can tell you one thing. This show is not going to be the show at any point this year that throws in the towel, starts looking to next year, and starts breaking down quarterbacks. I will do that in January. Let me repeat. I will do that in January, and then I will take the lead on that topic. So if you want to go in chat rooms on YouTube, you want to get in my social media, and I cannot believe the amount of Raider fans who I know of, because they follow me and I see their social media, are saying tank for the rest of the season. My blood boils when I see that. That would be with any team that I've been involved with my entire life. Remember, you're talking and listening to a diehard sports fan. I'm not one of these guys on the radio now. You're listening and watching more and more people as we get through now to this era of sports radio who don't have teams. Think of this for a second. You watch someone in the morning and you watch their show and it's simulcast and they don't have a team and they don't root for anybody. How in God's name did you get on the radio? I mean, Pat McAfee played football, so he's an athlete. But how could you be a guy that didn't or gal play professional sports and get on the radio and say that you don't have a team and you don't have a rooting interest? So for me, it's been 27 years of digging and working and grinding for the Raider Nation to get some respect from the Raider fans to know that my priority is for the Raiders to win. For those who don't get it, I don't even acknowledge them anymore. But I cannot believe that Raider fans are bailing on the season and want me to engage them on the draft. Have you lost your bleeping mind? You actually think I'm going to engage you and text you back or tweet at you or answer your tweet saying, let's tank? I mean, I am dealing with some of the stupidest people in the circus. When you walk around under the tent of the circus, and I almost feel like I'm fishing. You know, when you fish for fish. You might catch a flounder or a fluke or a yellowtail. I'm fishing for idiots. And the 99% of the Raider fans are the best people in my life. But the people who seem to be finding me in social media are people that I throw out. You know, sometimes when you want to fish for a shark, you throw in a dynamite and some chum and boom, all of a sudden, a lot of chum, here come the sharks. It's like I am fishing for idiots. People are literally coming to me saying, hey, man, what do you think about tanking, JT? What? Tanking in October? We win this game. I'm paying for tickets. I got a lot of money on the line with my tickets here. They don't give them to me for free. I get a credential. But I got people saying, let's talk about next year. Oh, my God. What's going on? What happened around here? I mean, we don't even know what quarterbacks are coming out of the draft. Do you want me to do an analysis with you? God, I'm dealing with some soft-ass quitters. Not a lot of them, but they're finding their way into my world. And that's why a block button is great. Because when I block someone, I never, ever, 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 ever hear from them again. Never met them, don't know them, wasn't planning on meeting them. But the beauty of that block button when you want to quit is I never see you, hear you, and I don't have to worry about you again. Now, you can't build the radio show with the world record 18 partners that we have in a 2-hour show, which has got to be some type of record in the history of radio in this town, I can promise you. Our partners want us to do the best radio show we can do, which is the coach, the quarterback, this guy, that guy, the insider, Vinny, Paul Gutierrez, because they count on us because they have a business and we have a business here. So what I'm trying to do here is remind everybody, keep it professional, root for your team. And if you did check out, do not check out on the radio because there's no need to check out on the radio. I think we're doing phenomenal work, tremendous work to try to give you the best content available. And like a day like today, you're sleeping, you're snoozing. I just interviewed the coach, Lincoln Kennedy, Vinnie Bonsignore, and Paul Gutierrez. The callers are asleep. People are just zombies. I think I'm doing the best show I can do. So let's wake this place up and say, get me somebody who thinks we can beat the Steelers. Somebody. I don't know who you are. You could be in Fort Lauderdale. Oh, and let's pray for the people of Florida as the storm is coming, and it's a big one. It's a big one. My parents live in Naples. They canceled their efforts to get down there. They're going to wait till next week. And my friends who live all the way in Tampa and a lot of other friends there, we're praying for them because this is going to be a really big storm overall. All right, we're going to have Levi Edwards coming up here in a little bit, so we're excited about that. And we're going to take your phone calls at 702-365-9200. PTs, they fuel the monologue. Get the Golden Knights starting up, man. Go to PTs. They have it locked down. Great place to watch hockey. They're a proud partner of the team in our show. Let's wish the Golden Knights a tremendous year. I love this hockey team. I'm a fan, and I hope they go back to the cup because that makes us feel good around here. You like my fishing for idiots comment? Yeah, man. I don't want to be fishing for idiots every day, man. What's going on the chat?
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness weekdays at 2 on Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM. What Gaming is the official and exclusive.
All right, how we doing, everybody? Everybody being nice? Everybody making friends? The bricklayers, everybody getting along in here? I think I put some. I think I put some children in timeout. Their timeout should be over, so hopefully everybody's out of timeout and being good. My buddy Raider Ryan is there for me. Hey, could Devontae want back? Hey, as a former stockbroker, there have been times that I sold the stock at a profit. I'm pretty good at that, or a loss, and then I went back and bought it again. Maybe Devontae's like that. Maybe Devontae's looking around saying, man, grass was greener 2 weeks ago. I thought Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers wanted me. Now it's not the case. I don't know. I'm going to get a sip of water. Excuse me.
That's theblackHole.com. Man, I can't believe this mess I'm in. I don't know what to do. You need a great attorney. But nothing. You can't do this alone. You need the Vegas lawyers. Hi, this is Paul Pata. Whether you need representation for DUI, domestic violence charges, record sealing, or any other criminal defense issue, you're going to want the Vegas lawyers on your side. The Vegas lawyers, where compassion and strong legal representation come together. Check us out at thevegaslawyers.com or give us a call at 707-7000. This is JT for Grimaldi's New York-style coal-fired brick oven pizza. 4 locations in the Valley, Summerlin and Boca Park, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas on Rainbow and Green Mountain, Eastern Avenue. Grimaldi's best pizza I've ever had.
Or not? Oh, should we be careful with that, or just kind of play it generic?
I will.
We're online.
Repeat.
Yeah, we're online. So, but yeah, let's play it.
Yes.
Yeah. You were there, obviously.
Yes, I was.
Did you ask anything specific that I need to know about?
Did not.
Levi is here. We got Levi here. So hold on. Ooh, let's see what's going on here. I got something weird. Hold on. I'm in a bit of an entanglement because I used a headset for that. There we go. So you normally ask a question from time to time, don't you?
So today I was writing I was writing a story on Aiden becoming the starter
Oh,
while
good.
the presser was going, so we could get it out as quick as we could.
Good.
So I didn't have time to ask a
Good.
question.
So let's get into that. Is your piece up yet or no?
Yeah, so
Good. 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 Good.
so but yeah, I the people that did
One
ask
second. Hey,
questions-
Bobby, I'm getting text from listeners. There's dead air. What's that about?
Yeah, things
All
are
right,
okay.
said it just came back on. Okay. All right, we'll get into it. Everybody say hi to Levi. He's here. It's great to have him. Got the YouTube kicking butt. We got 160 people in there. We had 350 yesterday. It's nice, man. Yeah, so we got a lot going on. I'm bummed out for Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, that sucks.
Have you seen him since then?
I saw him downstairs in the hallway. So he definitely seems like he wants to rehab and get back as soon as he can.
All right, that's Antonio Pierce. He's been vocal and very busy. JT back with you live on Raider Nation Radio, live on the YouTube feed. JT the Brick YT. Levi Edwards joins us from the digital team. A lot of news today, all of it not good. We'll start with Christian Wilkins and the injury. You saw him in the building a little while ago. Just feel for him because he's a great player. He's a guy who I thought this year could be an all-pro, let alone a Pro Bowler. And that's the type of injury. We'll wait till what the doctors say, but just a blow to that defensive line.
Most definitely, when you see Christian Wilkins on the field, good things happen, especially with Max Crosby. They've really been able to form a tandem. And throughout Max Crosby's career, he's obviously been the focal point on the edge. And he's had some good interior weapons, but Christian Wilkins was the best. You could just see it on the field. Max Crosby already has 5 sacks, and he's missed a game. So that's how much of an impact Christian Wilkins has had.
Yeah, how is the league going to look at Defensive Player of the Year with Max without Kuntz and Wilkins? I mean, it's completely different from what Max was thinking about when he came into this year, and he's still going to be a professional and have a great year, but losing 2 out of your 3 teammates there, plus the depth, it's a devastating blow.
I would definitely say it could be considered devastating. From the outside looking in, I definitely would say that they would see it that way. However, inside in the building, there's a phrase that everyone keeps on saying every time I talk to a player or a coach: don't blink, don't flinch. And that really has been the mindset, kind of like the new next man up mantra. Theirs is don't blink, don't flinch. So I think, yeah, they're devastated Christian Wilkins is out. Yes, they're devastated Malcolm Kuntz is out. They wish that they had more depth at that position that they once did have, but now you have a lot of guys that are going to be able to step up and really do big things, and I know they're excited for it.
Levi Edwards joins us from our digital team, so you were the first one to get out any content on Aiden O'Connell. He'll be the starter here. What's your piece about? What's the background of it? Sensing that this was probably coming, but it was made official today.
It was made official today at the press conference. AP out the gate just said Aiden is our guy. Very confident in what he can bring. And it was a very big quarterback battle throughout camp. We all saw it. We all went back and forth on who would get the job. And I believe that Aiden lost the job out of training camp really just solely off of experience. Gardner Minshew has the experience. You're going up against a couple of really tough defensive lines of the season. You want a little bit more of a mobile quarterback. However, with the mobility and the experience has not necessarily come the results that AP wanted to see out of the offense, just in terms of yes, Gardner Minshew has, good playmaking ability. However, with that comes a lot of risk, comes a lot of turnovers. And I think that he just wants to have a lot more of a accurate quarterback, someone who's going to be able to move the chains a little bit better. And so with that being said, he's had faith in Aiden since he became the head coach. That was the first decision he made when he became interim last year.
Yeah, good
was
point.
Making him the quarterback last season, and he rode with that, and that's where we're at.
All right, that sounds right, but the reason why I was comfortable going in the beginning of the year with Minshew was you got TJ Watt, you got Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
You're looking at all these teams where they're going to come off the edge, and a right-handed quarterback is going to be sprinting to get away from that beast and trying to make a throw on the run. I think Aiden's improved on that. We saw a couple of throws. Last year, the Michael Mayer touchdown, which was his signature throw. We saw a couple in the preseason. I'm just wondering now how this works because you got Minka Fitzpatrick, you got Hayward Ward, you got Watt, you got really good players. So to me, it says, all right, Aiden's going to be great if the pocket holds up. Then he'll go through progression 1, 2, and 3, and someone will be open and he'll hit him. But then I've been doing this too long to know it's not going to work that way, that the ball's going to have to come out really quick on these slants because TJ Watt's going to get to you if you hold the ball.
100%, and that's what I agree with. It's interesting because it's a new offense. Luke Getsy brings a completely different scheme than what we previously had when Aiden was first drafted to the team. But I really believe that he's going to have to revert a little bit back to that decision-making of being up-tempo, being fast, getting the ball out of the pocket as quick as possible. This is not going to be one of those games, even with as many injuries as the Steelers have coming into this game. This is not going to be I'm going to chill in the pocket 5-6 seconds, let him play develop kind of game. This is, make a read in 3 seconds and throw it as accurately as you can. That's going to be the kind of game Aiden O'Connell needs to have.
Levi Edwards is our guest. Check out all his work at Raiders.com. What should we expect from the running back position? Again, I don't have an injury report on exactly what's going down with Zeus, but Alexander Madison is the starter in this league when he has to get called up to do this. There's not a lot of depth there. I don't think they want to run the ball. Like we went through this, everybody, the first month. You got to run the ball. You got to run the ball. Well, you can't run the ball. And then you had the 152 yards against Cleveland, but then Zeus isn't available for Denver. So we're back to this point now. If they want to run the ball, can they do it effectively in this matchup? Not Kansas City, Cincinnati coming up, the Chargers down the road. What do you see in this matchup that could give the Raiders offense maybe a little bit of an advantage against a very good Steelers defense?
Really, for one, on the other side, you have Highsmith, who is going to be either out or doubtful. They're really banged up on their defensive line. Their linebackers are a little banged up as well. And so, obviously, the Steelers' bread and butter is their defense. So you have to capitalize on a team that's kind of going through a little bit of those bumps and bruises, kind of like we are on defense. And on top of that, 2 straight games, the Las Vegas Raiders have rushed for over 100 yards. So everybody wanted to see the progression. Everybody wanted to see the improvement. You're getting it. Alexander Madison, I feel, has done more than enough within his role that he's supposed to have to really show the Raiders, like, hey, I need more playing time. I need more reps. And I think he's going to do even bigger and better things with more reps as he gets them. This is a guy that was a RB1 in Minnesota last year. So the running game could be better, but we've also seen worse at this point of the season. So definitely just want to try to keep the momentum going and try to really take advantage against the Steelers team that's going to be a little down.
All right, Levi, finally, what's at stake here? I've been saying this all week, and fans either get me or they don't. I'm not going to be the rah-rah guy if the team was 2-7. I'm not going to be the rah-rah guy if the team is 3-8. But I know that 3-3 can do wonders for this fan base, the coaching staff, the morale of the team. Everybody seems to be injured. I mean, come on. Who's got more injuries than the Raiders? I mean, the Niners maybe? I don't know. I mean, the Raiders with Christian Wilkins now and Epps and what we're seeing with some of the injuries and Devontae with his injury, if he'll be available eventually again, it's got to be a moment here, a pivotal moment in the season. And I think from when AP sat where you just sat a little over an hour and a half ago, I got it from him. It's like, look, this is not a game. This is a game for the hardcore players on this team, the violent players, the angry players. Do you think they're going to play with a little bit of violence and anger in this game?
They better.
Yeah.
If they don't, they're going to lose. It's really just that simple, especially against a football team like this. And it's very interesting just comparing the two teams because the Steelers, like the Raiders, I feel, have had their struggles on offense, but have really been able to bring it together and win games because of their defense. The Raiders, I believe, they have one of the top percentages in getting people off of the field on third down. They've done some really good things. Turnovers could be a little bit better, but really the Raiders have been able to really stay in games and win because of their defense. And the Pittsburgh Steelers has done the exact same thing. So really it's going to be a nasty game. It's going to be a battle. Despite whatever injuries both teams have, it's going to be that kind of game. It's always that kind of game when the Raiders and the Steelers play.
Yeah, I think this might be, and I hope our audience agrees with us. Pittsburgh's good. They're not elite. They're a good team, and they might be a little better than the Raiders with the record. But I think this is a good time for this game. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like this game, this is a rivalry game. We got Atlanta later in the season. There's no rivalry with Jacksonville, none of that. Maybe this team needs a wake-up call with a famed rivalry to get one extra play or one great moment to kind of put the season back on track. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I thought they'd beat Cleveland. I thought they'd beat Carolina. I go back, if they beat Carolina, everything looks different right now.
Yeah.
Because you got one extra one in the pocket as you're trying to get healthy. But there's a lot of players that aren't going to come back from these injuries. So we got to come to grips with that and say one at a time and go win this one.
100%. And something that you said that really resonated is, just definitely taking this and, forming something in terms of building momentum. And when I look at this game, this is not like if we lose, the season is over kind of game. It's still very early in the season. But what I see this game as is an identity builder. The Raiders are still trying to search for their identity for this season. They have an idea of what they want their identity to be, but they still have yet to really really tap into what that could be. And a game like this, I really think, win, lose, or draw, I think we are really going to start to see what the identity of this Las Vegas Raiders team will be.
Yeah, I know you're not going to be writing about the draft. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're writing about, hey, everybody, Levi's not writing about the draft. Like some people are asking me, who's the quarterbacks available? We're not.
My draft season starts in February.
Yeah, that starts in February. Thanks for coming in.
Most definitely.
All right, there he is, everybody, Levi Edwards. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls. I got a window to do that now before the top of the hour, 702-365-9200, 702-365-9200. La Casa Cigars. Come on, one of my best friends in town for his birthday, and we're going to hit up La Casa for some live music, some sticks, some great cigars, and head out there, Tivoli Village, the best cigar atmosphere in that region, and you can drive from all over and come. Mike does a great job, and he's our proud partner at La Casa Cigars. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate
your
you.
story's up right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's kind of, will be updated throughout the day too once Aiden talks. But yeah.
Aiden's going to talk.
Yeah,
Of
he's
course.
going to do a presser later today at
Okay.
2:10.
Good. Thanks, Levi.
See you.
See you, buddy. All right, everybody. Here we go. Last segment here. Yep. Levi's a big guy. He's a strong guy. Young guy, writes a lot of content. Yeah, there are going to be a lot of yellow towels here. And, a lot of people come here to go see Coldplay, too. Everybody says, oh, the other fans are coming in. Everybody wants to come to Vegas. And everybody outside of Vegas who doesn't understand this, let me make it clear again. We want to sell out. We want it all silver and black. It'll never happen. There's always going to be fans from the other team that will buy tickets for triple face value. And there are people to sell those tickets. So let's start winning games. Let's just worry about the Steelers and we'll be good. Go. All set, thanks. All right, we'll do the pros here in a little bit. Yeah, so when ZZ Top plays,
soon, relatively soon, I think.
When you say ZZ Top, that's only Billy Gibbons,
I think so, yeah, right?
right?
But still, I mean, it's a pretty small venue for, you know, a band of that name.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I saw Lyle Lovett. We went down there to see Lyle Lovett, and it was, you know.
I saw Lyle Lovett at the Hard Rock Virgin a couple of years
Oh, you
ago
did?
with Chris Isaacs.
Oh, that
That was a damn good show.
No, it was great. It was
Yeah.
a great show, but there was nobody there. It's Prim.
What's the venue in Prim?
It's at the, on the east side of the 15 there. There's, I forget what it's called. It's like a little event center in that
Oh, it's an event center.
one casino.
My sons
Well,
play
it's kinda
golf
like a
down there.
small, like, you know, small hockey rink kind of, but like.
Interesting. Interesting. All right, my man. We're almost done.
Yeah, no worries.
You appreciate it. You got it.
It's great. It's great listening to you.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. Appreciate you listening and making sure we sound good. Mark didn't give away home field, you idiot. Mark built the stadium in Vegas, you idiots who think, oh, he gave away home field. He had to move. He could have moved to Carson. He moved to Vegas. We have Vegas. It's the Death Star, and people are buying tickets overpriced. Mark Davis didn't do anything to hurt the fan base. Mark Davis built the nicest stadium in the world. So give me a break. Rip on the fans who sell their tickets. Rip on the fans who sell their tickets. Not the owner who built a paradise for rock concerts, football games. We only play 9 games a year here, man. It's 365 days. It's a business. I mean, everybody bitching and moaning about the owner, the coach. Oh, my God, he's hurt. Man, just get over it, man. We built the stadium in Vegas. We didn't build it in Toledo. We didn't build it in Tulsa. It's not San Antonio, man. Anybody, Bobby? Gangster still there? My compliment to all Raider fans is you're all great. You know that. I love you all. Some Raider Deb's in there. Way to go, Deb. Appreciate that. But you guys got to start understanding in these chat rooms and on social media. Would you say this to their face? Would you go up to Antonio Pierce to his face and say what you say in this chat? JT, back with you. Q Myers coming up next. Appreciate everybody listening. Raiders rundown as we try to get this music rocking here and keep going here on the flagship of the Silver and Black Raider Nation Radio. I'm in headquarters today. We're taking your phone calls and we will have a lot of excitement coming up. Friday, I'm off. Harry Ruiz is in for me. I'll be at the Simon Keith Foundation 10th Annual Golf Tournament. I get to MC that. It's a special event for me. Really, really big event. So with that happening, if you didn't catch the interview I did with Simon yesterday, a lot of people enjoyed that. He's the first professional athlete to ever have a heart transplant and play. And then he had his second heart transplant with a kidney, and he continues to raise awareness on all that. So I want you to please pay attention to that, and if you can, help out. And also pay attention to the people in Florida. My in-laws live down there. They're in Jacksonville. Actually, St. Augustine. It's really going to hit hard in the Tampa area. Raiders play at Tampa this year. Could have been this weekend. They would have canceled it. They would have canceled the NFL at home. Tampa got out early, and they're heading to New Orleans to play their game. Gangster Raider. Fire this place up. Raiders need a win desperately against Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Yeah, that's fair. Mm. 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 Yeah. Wow, wow, wow. For those who didn't hear Gangster Raider, that's on me. But Gangster Raider was fantastic there. And Gangster Raider makes it clear you got to be gangster in this game. I agree with that. You got to be gangster in this game and play with a level of intensity and violence. The only thing I'll push back on what he said, the quarterback situation is made by the coaches. Coaches decided to go with Aiden O'Connell this week. They didn't for a reason before that. It's fair to second guess. That's what we do in sports. We second guess. I mean, the Yankees are the most important thing to me this week. Sorry, they are. And I'm second guessing Aaron Boone and Aaron Judge and everybody else. That's what we do. We second guess on sports radio. We watch games and then we talk about them. That's all we do here. We watch the games, then we go on the radio and talk about them. Or we talk about the upcoming games. And there's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks, and I respect all his. I think it was the right decision to start the year with Gardner Minshew. And I think if they could have made the move last week, I would have been fine with it. We did all last week that if they would have went with Aiden in Denver, I would have been fine with it. It was a priority to get it done this week, and they made the decision here. So that's what's happening. And that's the way I feel on all of this. I believe that you take it 1 week at a time, and that week, all the difference in the world happens with film, preparation, health, unfortunately, the injury report. And then if you win that game, you start building momentum. If you lose the next game, you go back to work again. Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee today, and it's kind of an interview that he does every week. You know what I'm talking about. And they fired their coach, Robert Saleh, and Nate Hackett's Aaron Rodgers guy. And Pat McAfee and them were asking him questions, and Aaron Rodgers says, we got to get better. We're going to turn this around. He said, we're going to turn it around. That's what you're supposed to say when you're a franchise quarterback. We're going to turn it around. Big Al in San Francisco. What's up, Big Al? How are you?
JT, I'm second guessing myself for driving up to Sacramento for a preseason NBA game, but that kind of is what it is. But concerning the Raiders and so forth, they made the right decision because you can't throw like little wounded ducks in the end zone that get returned 100 yards for touchdowns. I mean, that happened. They should have just got back on the plane. And we've been watching Raider football for a long time, and we can't make those mistakes. I mean, one of the reasons why the Raiders have not been very successful over a longer period of time is because they failed to kind of tie up the loose ends and make those plays that they need to be able to make. Now, bringing in Aiden, fresh life, fresh blood, with the understanding that Devontae is not coming back. I think we all understand that. And maybe the ball will spread out a little bit more. I'd like to see White, the running back, come back because he's the number one running back.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys are nice pieces.
Yeah, that's
kind of like.
Yeah, so you think the running game is still viable here, Big Al? I don't see the running game being very viable unless something pops quickly, like an individual back getting 130 yards, like we saw every weekend when we grew up as kids. I got to see that before I can buy into this running game again.
I agree with you, but we have to give it a shot because the game, you can't throw the ball in the NFL 55 times and expect to win. Seattle did that the other day against the Giants. They only used two good running backs that they have in Seattle, and the Giants smacked them pretty good. The score wasn't as close. The Raiders get that run game established. You
Yeah,
get that
I mean, that's
established, then
something we
pretty
haven't
good
done yet. So that's
All right, I'm hearing something else that I shouldn't be hearing in my ear, Bobby. Let's get out of this. Thanks, Big Al, for the phone call, and we appreciate it as we wrap up the show here and we get out of here. So here's what I think. My final thoughts here. Thanks to everybody who watched the show on YouTube, watched it on Raiders. I guess the show's coming up on Raiders YouTube coming up here in a bit. Just have your phone on, you'll see it. Raiders have to win this game. Yeah, we're back to must win. I know I broke it out with Cleveland. I was right. It was, and they won. I didn't break it out. I'll break it out again. I don't play quarterback. I don't call the plays. I just run a fast-paced radio show. Got to win this game. If I can walk out of there Sunday night and get in my car and drive home 3-3, I'm going to have a big Modelo and look up in the sky in my backyard and say, 3-3, baby. We got more shows coming up. We're excited about it. Big show lined up tomorrow. Q's ready to roll. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. What was that with that? What I just heard at the end there?